In this video, we're going to talk about the installation of our Genesis filtration systems that backwash. Our Genesis AIO, Ozone, catalytic carbon, as well as Katalox and Birm systems will use this installation video. There will be some slight variations. The pH neutralizing system that we sell, for example, will have a beige colored tank with a fill port on it to refill your pH neutralizing media down the road. So we're going to start by unboxing the filter tank. When your filter tank arrives, it'll come in a taller box and it'll actually have banding straps on it as well as foam insulation to prevent any damage in transit. You want to inspect your system when you receive it just to make sure that there isn't any damage, anything that could have happened in transit. And if there is, you definitely want to take a picture of it, email it to us, and we'll help you address that as quickly as possible. Your system's going to come with a specialized shipping cap to prevent any of the media from getting into the riser tube or into areas of the tank that you don't want it in. This tank will be very heavy. What you want to make sure you do is either have an assistant to help you, or you want to take it out of the box by cutting down the side of the box with a razor knife, carefully cut down, and then what you're going to do is open up the side and kind of work the tank out of the box and have it free from the box so that you can then start on your installation. The cap that you remove, when you pull up on the cap, you want to be certain to not pull up on it quickly because you could pull up on the riser tube. The riser tube is usually flush with the top of the tank, and if it comes up at all, the problem that could occur is that you'll have to dump all the resin out or the media out and end up with a lot more work for yourself. The smaller systems usually ship with all of the media already in the tank. On some of the larger systems, the weight is too heavy for shipping. So we do send the media in a separate box or boxes, along with a cap to put in the riser tube and a funnel to help with filling the media into the tank. You will load all of the media that you receive into the tank completely. When you're unboxing the control valve, you'll find a control valve that looks a lot like this or very similar. You'll also have a bypass that is boxed separately, and it will have also some small parts in it. You'll also have an upper screen that looks a lot like this or very similar, and also small parts bag with some connections and O-rings. After unboxing your control valve, one of the things you want to make sure you do is always install the large O-ring on the underside of the control valve. To install it, you'll find a channel that the O-ring sits in, and you want to push it into place. Inside of the box, along with the small parts, you're also going to find a package of O-ring lubricant that will be able to be used to lubricate the larger O-ring that you installed, as well as the inner O-ring that goes around the riser tube once you connect it to your control valve. After you've lubricated those two O-rings, you're going to want to install the upper screen. Now, on different filters, the upper screen will look different. Some of the slats will be closer together, some will be more spread apart. So for our AIO system, our Ozone system, it'll look a lot like this where the slats are very separated. On some of our backwashing carbon filters, Katalox filters, whole house carbon filters, they're going to be much closer together. But to attach this upper screen, all you have to do after lubricating the O-rings is to just slide it into the underside of the control valve and just a quick twist, half turn, and it will click into place. All right, and now you're ready to make your installation onto your control valve. After you attach the upper screen to your control valve, you're ready to slide the control valve down over the center riser tube. If the riser tube is not quite centered, you're going to need to just move it into place with your hand. Once the system goes into its first backwash, it will self-adjust and center itself, so you don't have to worry about that. So you just drop the control valve down on top till it meets the threads. There will be some resistance that you'll have to push through. That's just the O-ring attaching to the riser tube. You're going to turn it clockwise until you get it to a hand-tighten connection, and then you want to go about a half turn. You want to hug the tank and go about another half turn until it's nice and snug and the O-ring's compressed. You're now ready to attach your bypass. When you receive your bypass, it's going to come in a box that looks like this. When you open it up, it's actually going to be fully assembled, except for the securing U-clips that come in a separate bag. So it'll actually be shrink wrapped like this in some models, and other models it'll already be opened, but you will already have your 1-inch connections on there, and you'll have additional bags with your small parts, which are your clips that clip the fittings into place. And you can always switch out the 1-inch and put your 3/4 inch in. A key step when installing your bypass into your control valve is to make sure that the articulated fittings that screw onto the back of the control valve get the flat washer type O-rings installed into the female end of the fittings before you screw them onto the control valve. Each articulated fitting is going to have a flat washer ring that goes into the female side of the fitting, and you're going to screw these fittings down until they're snug. You can use a channel lock type wrench to tighten these down further, but be careful not to over tighten, as these will crack. You're now ready to make the installation of your bypass to the control valve. You're simply going to slide the bypass onto the O-rings that are in place and take your 2 U-clips and clip them on to hold it in place. So now once we've installed our bypass onto the back of the control valve, you're ready to make your connections to your plumbing. Now, plumbing connections may vary from one home to the next. In this case, we're showing copper pipes. In your home, you might have PEX, CPVC, copper, or regular PVC. So the connections may differ. Conventional plumbing methods should be used to make these connections. We do recommend someone skilled at plumbing a water softener in to do the installation. We do also have an installation kit for do-it-yourselfers, and we'll go over that here in a second. But to make your connections, you're going to have either your 3/4 inch or your 1-inch connections that are male threaded. You're going to need to make the connections either through conventional plumbing methods or use our installation kit with the Quick Pro connector kit. When you purchase your system, if you elected to get your Quick Pro connector kit as an option, you can actually use the Quick Pro connectors to install your system as a do-it-yourself install if you have copper, CPVC, or PEX piping. If you have PVC piping, the Quick Connect kit will not work for you. You want to make sure, especially on copper, that there aren't any sharp edges or burrs on the end of your copper that could pierce or cut the O-ring on the inside of the quick connector. To make your connection, you're simply going to push this up into your plumbing until it bottoms out, and then make sure you can't pull down on it. You're also going to want to make the same connection to your outlet side of your system and make your connection the same way as you did on your supply line. Once you've connected your Quick Pro connectors to your plumbing, you can then screw on your fittings on the back of your bypass. You can use Teflon tape to ensure that you don't get any leaks. Just a simple twice around with Teflon tape will ensure that the system has a nice, secure connection. Once you have them hand tightened down, you can put a wrench to the fittings and tighten them down further to ensure a proper connection. To attach the drain to your Genesis filtration system, we do offer 1/2-inch ID stiff-walled tubing as an option to all of our systems. You can either purchase it at the time when you get your system, or if you can source it locally at either a plumbing supply house or a home improvement store. Please make sure that you get 1/2-inch ID tubing, and it has to be stiff-walled. Soft-walled vinyl clear tubing should never be used on any of the drains for our systems. To make your attachment to the drain, you simply have a lower drain fitting that is a hose barb fitting. You simply want to push your drain hose onto the fitting, and to add some security to it, you can always put a hose clamp on there. If you decide you're going to hard pipe your drain, you can do so by removing the securing nut that holds the hose barb fitting on. One key thing to remember is the hose barb houses a flow control in different colors for different sizes. So this flow control must stay in place along with the hose barb fitting once you install your outer threaded fitting for your hard piping. Depending on which filtration system you purchased under our Genesis systems, your brine line connection may have either a plug in it or a tube that comes off with a check valve that runs to an ozone generator. On any of our ozone generator systems, there will be a tube and check valve that comes off. On our AIO systems, there'll just be a white check valve on there. Once you've completed your connections and programmed your system, you're going to want to make sure that you backwash your system at least once or twice when you first start up. This is going to help to clear out all of the fines and any of the dust that's inside with the media and get it to go down the drain so it doesn't end up into your home plumbing system. To start a regeneration, you're simply going to push and hold the second button from the left to start the regeneration. Start your regeneration before you open the bypass to your system. You're going to want to open the bypass slowly to a quarter turn on the first time you open it to ensure that the media does not get pushed up into the upper screen of the system. To open the bypass on any of our Genesis filtration systems, the bypass valve has two green arrows. When they are perpendicular to the supply and the return line, the bypass is closed. You want to start the system with your bypass in the closed position, and once the system starts to backwash, you're going to simply turn the bypass to quarter open until water starts to flow to the drain. Once water starts to flow to the drain for a minute or so, you can open it slowly to the full open position to help rinse the media upon startup. Anytime you purchase a Genesis filtration system from Discount Water Softeners, along with a softener, we do offer an interconnecting pipe that can be connected from the softener to the filtration system. If you do have a softener already and you're just adding one of our iron filters, you can purchase this interconnecting flex line to your system to make your connection to your softener from your iron filter a lot easier. You have to make sure that your iron filter is within 12 to 14 inches of overall distance from your softener, but this flex line makes installation a snap. Once you've completed the installation of your Genesis filtration system, it's important to note that some of the plumbing that you have drained down in your home may cause some discoloration of the water in your home's plumbing. Make sure you go to each fixture, run it for a few minutes to clear out any of the discoloration, and your system will be ready to go.